Am revenit, stăm puțin jos să ne relaxăm pentru că noi așa suntem la final și vrem să aflăm cât mai multe despre ce s-a întâmplat astăzi la Ronewmedia. Îl am alături de mine pe Gregor Wojcik, I said it right?
Yes.
Este fost CEO la Allegro Group și actual Head of Corporate Relations la Mich Internet Europe, subsidiară la Naspers Group. Ne-a vorbit astăzi despre tendințele comerțului electronic la nivel internațional. So, I'm going to ask you how the e-commerce is doing on the international market.
That's one of the boosting categories in terms of all of the products, in terms of operations of many different internet companies. It's like one of the major trends. You know, you can see that, you know, there are pure e-commerce companies, there are companies which are having some kind of e-commerce on the side, and there are really big companies, including Yahoo, that they see a lot of the potential in e-commerce. So it's really increasingly spinning up.
Like everyone who has a business, it's looking to e-commerce and it's going to work on internet to sell things and to boost his business, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is more than obvious that in a couple of years we can forget about the e-commerce as a category. I mean, it will be any company that will be present in the internet will have an e-commerce features, because it's usually about selling either products or services, but it's all about the process, how consumers are making their decisions, how they are gathering attention, awareness, and then they are making a decision that they are really purchasing something, and then of course they need to have a satisfaction out of it. So a lot of those processes which used to be basically working in the offline markets have started to be possible due to web or mobile devices. So it's really evolving, and in the end, like today, it's obvious to everybody that there should be no company which is present in the internet unless the company really wants to have only very limited presence. So in a couple of years there will be no company that will be not talking about being as kind of a sales-driven product.
What about people? Are users used to buy from the internet? Can they be taught to buy from the internet?
Absolutely. I mean, it's not only a question; it's really happening. So, I mean, those are always the same users. I mean, users which I think it is us, it is our friends, our families. It's all about basically people, and people do like a couple of things. They like cheap prices, they like having a large selection of choice, and they like to do things in a convenient way. So having said so, it's all about making sure that, you know, if you're browsing online, whether this is your mobile device or a web PC-based machine, it doesn't make a difference. It's simply making it more convenient for you to purchase some kind of goods or products. So that's it.
Is that secure?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, first of all, you should not say that we are buying from the internet. What you are doing is you are buying from sellers, whoever the seller is. Yeah. Either it is if it is a product, if it is a good, which is a physical good, it's simply there is some kind of a real seller behind it. And internet is just a way of communication. So of course it's always a question of trust towards a given seller, but it is no longer a barrier, because internet gives a lot of features which can provide credibility for certain sellers. So, for example, you can say that the reviews features and, you know, people's feedback about certain things is the biggest weapon to shoot from if somebody is unreliable. So immediately it spans out, you know, everybody's blogging and posting things that, you know, you should not buy from this seller, you should avoid this one, etc., etc. So basically, it's there are a lot of protection mechanisms which make things secure. And on top of this, still there is more and more of different payment features, which is making like the last mile of distribution in terms of e-commerce. It's the enabler of real making the transaction happen. So as you can see that many years ago, credit card companies, they were usually offline credit cards. It was not electronic devices. It was, just put a physical card, take the number out of it, and then, you don't know what happens later. Right now, it's all connected and integrated into electronic systems, anti-fraud detection, etc., etc. So it means that, it has never been more secure than it is today. When you look into convenience part of it. Of course, you could say that cash hand to hand would be much more secure. But if you are trying to buy things from a guy who is a bandit, would you say it is secure? No, it's exactly the same feeling. You would be afraid to make a transaction with such a person. So I believe that all of the barriers which used to be in terms of making things happen online have really vanished. Right now it's a question of how do we make sure that it is every user knows what is good to do and what is not appropriate, like in everyday life. Your parents tell you should not go to this neighborhood and you are free to go to this place because you are safe over there.
Romania is not so developed in e-commerce, or we don't have yet a lot of online magazines. What do you think it should be the approach to businessmen or to everyone who has a business and it should be online?
Basically, always it starts with the technology because it is the enabler, but the technology is not the most important part. The most important part is to be enabled about your customer satisfaction. So whenever you are making, if you are a retailer and you do have your offline presence, obviously what you should try to do is to go with this kind of a convenience and satisfying your customer also online. So the consumers can really have more contact with you as a seller, so they can order things in a much easy way. And also it brings more opportunities because like in traditional shop, in order to sell something, you need to book things in advance. You need to buy from the supplier's stuff. You need to put them into your warehouse or into your shop. So you need to absolutely have everything made on your credit. When you are doing it online, you can do it in a variety of business models. You can do both the same model, which is buying stuff on your stock and then selling it out, but also you can do a lot of subscription-based mechanisms. So, for example, for a large selection of goods, you can simply say, okay, I even can manufacture this product individual for you. Just make sure you place the right order on the website, and you do the payment, and that's it. So basically, I would say that in order to boost this industry, so to boost this approach, all of the brands, all of the shops, all of the retailers should really think, this is just a next distribution channel in terms of contact with the consumer. That's it, but it really makes a big difference. And at the end of it, what is crucial is that you need to also make sure that you are obsessed with the consumer satisfaction. I mean, if you are in the traditional shop and you have a face-to-face contact with the person who's selling you the good, simply, you have an eye contact. When the customer says, this is not good, I don't like this, etc., etc. So then you have this feedback immediately. In terms of a distance transactions, you need to learn how to measure this kind of satisfaction in different ways. So you need to absolutely measure everything in terms of your site analysis, track your consumer paths, what products are they visiting, and what are the places where they are not comfortable with. It's just more of a technological approach, but it is absolutely important to understand, what is making the consumer happy and what is annoying.
I understand that analytics helps you to see what are users doing on your website, what they are looking for, and how to offer their best results and the best products, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. I mean, what you need to do is you need to measure everything. But, first of all, you know what is your end goal. Your end goal is to make a transaction and be sure that your customer is happy. So, of course, you need to measure everything which is in this kind of perspective. So, first of all, you have a step to make the transaction, but then immediately you need to follow up with a questionnaire, surveys. Do you like it? Would you like it more, etc., etc. And of course, like in every industry, marketing is a really significant part of the business because it's about gathering attention of users, of people, to get to your point of presence. So it's about also efficiency. Do you measure how you are gathering the people which are coming to your site, which consumers convert better than the other? I mean, for example, you can advertise on one side and you can bring 100,000 people, but only 100 of them will buy something. While from the other side, you can get 1,000 people, but 90% will buy it. So it's all about the efficiency, and there are many techniques to make sure that it is correct. But basically, it's about those analytics.
In Romania, we have some e-commerce success stories that are ITNC magazines, online magazines. Is that correct, or is another niche to be covered for online selling?
It is. I mean, from my perspective, it is not revolutionary. I mean, this is one of the many possible business models. But I'm saying that every business will be e-commerce business. This is just the way to do it. And people like visual stuff. People like to be wowed with something which is beautiful. So yeah, that's the answer. So whether you find the needs of a consumer, that's gonna work.
So every business we have, every store we have, even that we are selling, I don't know, flowers or clothes, should be online and should have success in online, yeah?
You mentioned just two examples, which is flowers. It's a great business in the internet industry. I mean, for the first month you think, flowers, internet, come on. But then you realize that there are so many opportunities. Somebody's birthday, somebody's a child was born, or whatever happened in the real life, and you don't have an option that you would be able to go there physically. So you just make an order online, and the flowers will be delivered whatever location you want. Wow, that's easy. So this is one example. The other example you will find for every other industry. It doesn't mean that each pattern will be exactly the same, because for example, when you are buying a fresh food, you want to make sure that the food is really fresh. So it's not only about making the order, but also about the logistics behind it. So you for example pick up the goods at your convenience. So for example, you can buy a bread. It can be delivered to you in the morning. You are getting out of your work spot, and at 5 p.m. you are seeing that a loaf of bread is on your door, but it's no longer fresh. Yeah. So it doesn't make sense. So you can do it with whatever other boxed product, but you cannot do it with the fresh stuff. So there are different things you need to make sure that work if you want it to be delivered. But for example, those details, when presenting flowers, you make the zooms, you show that the flowers are fresh. You see that you can see that you can really make your own selection of what flowers should be inside. You can do many different things, which can really personalize the experience. And for example, if you are buying shoes, there is a huge selection of shoes, and basically you don't know which one will fit best your needs. You have those interactive videos where you can see, like in 3D, how the shoes look like, and you can then also have an interactive video presentation that a given person provides. Okay, this is the shoe. I like the most in this shoe that there is this part which is making this shoe more flexible than the others. Look how having it on my feed, how it fits me, etc., etc. So it's more of a like a visual discovery and a testimonial of a given customer. So yeah, just two examples. Name the business and you can find a new idea how you should do it using so many multimedia content opportunities.
So then what a online store should have on it besides the products? How it should look like?
I mean, the product catalog has to be really wonderful. The pictures need to be of a high quality. It is already proven that the video on the product brings 30% and up conversion rates because it's more reliable. People really can understand better what it is, and if you put more extra comments and feedback from the other customers, it brings you additional value. So those are the things you need to have. I mean, you can live without it. You can still do sales, but if you are thinking of being effective in the long run, this is all you must do. If you look at all of the big retailers, this is the biggest trend. The product catalog has always been the most important part of selling the product, just to show it off.
If you are trying to buy something online, you have to pay for it. Sometimes the paying method is not so easy as you want it to be. You have to enter on a website, after that to be redirected on another website of some partner who makes the payment, enter your credit card, and after that waiting to be redirected back. Is there any solution of that, or this is just for security reasons?
There are many solutions. I mean, you have just named one example, but each country is different. I mean, payments is very local. Each country, even when you look at the European Union, each country has really different banking systems. There are many different banks, many different payment methods. So it is really complicated. But at the end, all of the payment companies are working on making things really simple and easy. And in terms of this redirecting to the different side, which is making a payment, I think that this is an advantage rather than a complication because you have a trust built into a certain brand. Like, for example, you have a pay-you brand, which means that this is a reliable payment processor. So you don't have to be worried that if the payment is made through this option, it is really working. While if you would have to buy from a website you have never seen ever before, and you need to put your credit card number into that website, would you be so sure to do so? Not necessarily. So this is very important that those payment brands need to be there to make sure that the process is reliable. And in terms of the integration of payment methods, we are still on the very early steps. And of course, the ideal solution is that whatever the payment method you would like to have, it will be there. So whether it is your e-wallet, whether this is your bank account, whether this is your credit card, whichever you want, whether a debit card or credit limit, it doesn't make a difference. You should have all of the payment instruments linked to your payment instrument provider aggregator, and then you can use it flexibly. So basically this is the end goal of having things convenient for the consumers.
What would you say to an businessman who hasn't yet an online presence and hasn't his store in online? Just do it, or there are some steps to be online and sell it online?
Yeah, first of all, it is not blue ocean that you need to discover everything from scratch. So, first of all, my proposal will be there are many entrepreneurs and many companies that have already done it. Visit whatever the company that has already done it, see how it looks like in real life. I would, this is the discovery part. So, see how others really made it, and I'm sure there are many opportunities that the others will share the experience with you. I would recommend this as step number one. If you are a complete entrepreneur and you are trying to make things and nobody else has done it before you, what you need to do is you need to simply give it a try. So simply, there is this, the Scrum and Agile methodology of fire, aim, and load. So do something simple, fire, try it, and then immediately gather the feedback, see how it looks like, whether it works, whether it doesn't work, what problems it triggers, what problems you have basically solved having this kind of a solution, and then make the third part, which is load. Having the things already learned, you can again increasingly put new features, delete some things which didn't work, and repeat the procedure. So try, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just only there is one rule, as soon as you find that something has been a mistake, correct it as soon as possible, and that's it.
You spoke today about e-commerce trends, international e-commerce trends. What's the percent on international market of e-commerce stores?
Each market is different, and the trend is that it is increasingly growing. For each country there are different statistics, but I would be rather saying not about the stores, because the stores are only physical goods, but I would rather say what is the internet economy in terms of how powerful internet business is, which is the base for making all of the retailer functions. So like e-commerce is a vital part of the business, but like about 2-3% of the GDP right now in many European countries is coming from internet industry. This is extremely big number, and this is all enabling commerce, because when you look at the real facts, of course there are many stores out there which are having business because the decision has been made online. So there is no factual sales yet online, but the discovery zones, advertising opportunities, product showrooms, etc., are already there. So I would say and tend to provide the same approach. For now, in developed countries, those are like usually thousands of e-shops per country. Like, this is not big compared to the offline world. In many countries, the e-commerce penetration, which is the e-commerce to offline commerce, like the total sales is about 3%. In the UK, it's more than double of that, so it's like 7-8 going up. So you can see that it's a matter of both infrastructure, like broadband access, and it's a matter of the technology, which it makes it all of those fancy visual features possible to deploy. So it will be absolutely fastly growing, and every company will be e-commerce.
So how will be 2012 in e-commerce? Will be, I don't know, doubling the number of stores and doubling the percent of business? On many markets, having in mind, even within the European Union, that the economy is not growing increasingly well, e-commerce numbers on any market I know is always double digit. So it's 10% plus. There are markets and categories which it is growing 200-300% year over year. So of course, on overall, I believe it's going to be like 15 to 20% year over year compared to the market, which is growing only a couple of percent, which is very good. But as soon as the broadband opportunities and mobile coverage of internet access will be even better, it's gonna be skyrocket. So it's all about getting used to the things. I remember when in 1998, 1999, internet was happening. All the early content portals, Yahoo, Alta Vista, different, search. Google was, very, very small kid at that time. It was still very small. Although you could see it's already growing.
But then you could see that a couple of years later, it was exponentially growing. So it's again about the human nature. Once people know that these things work really well, it will boost exponentially.
What are you doing at Mich Internet?
MIH is as a subsidiary of Naspers Group, and MIH is a internet arm of Naspers. Naspers is basically evolved from South African print industry, then it went to pay TV business, and then there was a very wise and strategic decision made that all of the profits which are coming from this old-fashioned industry will be invested into internet. And Naspers has a worldwide coverage and stakes at really leadership positions of Tencent in China, Meru in Russia, and a lot of e-commerce activities across European Union, including Allegro Group. So, my role today is really to make sure that we share the strategy approach correctly across the group, as well as I do take care about the thing which is increasingly important, which is the regulatory area. I mean, you could hear a lot of things about ACTA and all those problems, and I can tell you that it is only the very beginning, and ACTA has extremely bad solution to the market, to the innovative approach for business development, was just a show off that due to innovations there are many companies which are trying to protect themselves, not competing business-wise, but they are trying to compete regulatory-wise, and this is not a good approach. So, the goal of this is to make sure that during the very interesting times where IP rights, which is basically intellectual property law, is in the conflict at the same time in many areas with the telecom law. It's absolutely in line in many common points with data protection. So all of those acts have come to one spot, and somebody needs to choose the priorities, because when intellectual property law was established, it was all about media. It was about the journalists and the television or radio stations, and then the public. So you could see that all of those journalists were trying to aggregate and propose some kind of systems that would protect them against media owners, and then nobody was discussing about consumers. Today, the media creators are the consumers, the same people who both consume the content and create the content, which is putting it into completely different perspective, like the personal use definition, and what is possible for you to use legally, and what would be the infringement of the law. So those priorities need to be very carefully determined, and it cannot be like that. There will be like one act that will try to simplify everything, which would at the same time kill the privacy and many other elements. But on the other hand, we also need to make sure that this privacy, which has permanently changed due to the technology development, doesn't kill the business itself. I mean, would you agree to be traced every day, that your location, what you do, what your habits are, be traced by somebody else? You say no, but you do it every day with your mobile phone and GPS. And you post blogs, you tweet, you do something on Facebook.
Yeah, but
Google knows everything about you. So does it afraid you? No, you do the business out of it. You have fun with it. So you cannot simply take this all away with not appropriate approach. So it's about education. So having this kind of expertise in both the media industry and e-commerce industry, what I'm doing is I'm also trying to bridge the knowledge across different areas to show the right path, how to make sure that we still do innovate, and European Union as a region can be innovative versus US, China, etc., and at the same time be secure.
do you think that Romania, after your presentation today, has any chance to boost its e-commerce market?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I have seen a lot of open-minded people, and I believe that all of those people I've seen have been very careful, listening and watching to what's happening, and I can see that it's being applied. So of course the execution is always the most important part, but I can see a great potential, especially that when you look at the EU, Romania is one of the few countries where Yahoo has a very good position, and is a dinosaur of internet, you would say, in Silicon Valley today. But it shows only one thing, that Romanian people are not afraid to early adapt what is good. So I'm absolutely not afraid that it is one of the hubs of internet innovation over here.
The banner says here that Allegro Group is one of the biggest players in e-commerce market in Romania. Does Allegro offer solutions for e-commerce?
Allegro Group is a variety of different business models. So we do provide the classified business model with Mercador and Autovit. We do operate with a couple of other B2B products, but the most important part still is education. I mean, for example, we have tried a couple of times different models. As you can remember, we had Tizo, Trendzone, a lot of different business models. It was all learning what are the customer habits, what do Romanian internet users like about e-commerce, and then we decided that it still needs to be very simple, and we decided that we will invest much more into the classifieds area. I know that there is a very strong player for marketplace, which is Okazi. Also, there are great companies like eMag. So you can really say that having all of those business models of e-commerce on the market, it is already pretty mature. However, the internet users are still not educated in terms of using all of the things efficiently enough. So I think if all of those companies will continue to innovate, it will be one of the key e-commerce hubs in Europe.
What do you think about Ronewmedia? How was the conference for you, and what do you find here?
It was very interesting. I didn't have a chance to see all of the presentations. My first impression is that it's pretty big in terms of 3 days of a conference. My personal approach is better to have less but higher quality, which would say that probably like 2 days would be enough, but pick the best topics and try to focus more audience on the site. As of course within 3 days you cannot go for everything, and the workshops at the same time with the panels. So I appreciate this approach, but I believe that there are some kind of opportunities to make it just a little bit better. But in terms of topics, I think that pretty much it has been covered what is on the flow. So yeah, pretty interesting conversation also today. With the video trends and the content trends, and yeah, I believe it was inspiring.
Speaking about video trends, your personal opinion, do you think that the next step in internet is to pay for videos and the television will be online in a few years, I think?
Basically, it's all about the multi-channel distribution, and it's all about the access devices. And TV is about content. So when you're talking about the television, let's not talk about the distribution channel. First of all, let's talk about what is the content behind it. And obviously there is a high quality content which is produced by experienced companies and big media holdings, which is both high quality and interactive and putting into different formats. And this is not going to change. And people have always been happy with those things, and always where there is a huge audience, there was a lot of means to monetize. On the other hand, people always paid for TV. Maybe it was not like obvious to everybody, but all of the cable and satellite television, which is bringing the selection, has always been there, and people were paying for this. And I strongly believe that over the course of time, it's going to end up that they will continue to pay for what they think is valuable. The only thing that will change is the distribution channels, because when you have your tablet device, you would be rather have the access over there rather than your TV set. But at the other hand, when you are, at night or evening and you have your time to relax, you would probably prefer your big plasma screen, which having comfortable lean back on the couch, and just have a different way. So it will evolve. People for high quality and unique content will always pay. It's just a matter of time when IP distribution network will be so popular. It will be just another meme.
Okay, so I thank you very much for your time and for your words. I hope that Romania will have a boost in e-commerce, because if that international trend is to move online and to have any store and any business online, we should be there. And I wish you a pleasant day after that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Cam atât momentan de aici. Vom reveni, cred că în maxim jumătate de oră, cu alți oameni foarte interesanți de la REALITATEA.NET și cu concluziile după aceste 3 zile.